Hey, everybody, welcome to the second official episode of the Enthusiacs podcast. I'm your co host, Eric.
And I'm your other co-host, Matthew.
And yeah, today we're going to be talking more about music. Last episode, we talked about Studio Ghibli movies and that sort of ethos.
It was mainly just Howl's Moving Castle, though.
Yeah. But we're going to try something a little different. We're going to talk about, I guess, on a general level, our musical interests and our musical journeys, but we might focus more in on some particular artists like like the Strokes or the Arctic Monkeys, for example. But we'll see how it goes.
Oh my god. My friend, shout out to Cameron if you're listening to this, but Cameron always typecasts my musical taste into the Strokes and Arctic Monkeys, so this is just gonna further push the stereotype. That I am an Arctic Monkeys and Strokes mega fan.
Oh man, I mean, you're not aligning yourself with a bad cause. These are some bangers. They've
Yeah.
got some bangers.
They have really good songs. I really like them. I
Yeah.
go to them a lot. And it's one of the few songs where, like, in the past 2 weeks, music hasn't been hitting, but, like, sometimes some of their songs do still.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, when the music is like, even though you're down in the dumps or, you're just not really feeling the music, when like a band has music that's like, even in spite of that, you still get something from it. That's just a testament to like, this is a good band, and these are some good songs.
So true. So true.
Um, but yeah, in regards to my experience with the bands Matthew was talking about, the Strokes, Arctic Monkeys, and such, um, I don't know, I've only recently been like really getting into that sort of scene for like the past like maybe year or so. So I guess I'm still relatively, new when it comes to like my impressions and such, but I can't deny that like, even if you're only interested in like maybe the more popular like, indie rock sort of, like the Strokes, Arctic Monkeys, and you haven't gone farther than that, they have some really, it's superlative is all I can really say, and
Hmm.
don't let anybody hate on you for liking.
All your music tastes are valid.
Yeah, and that
You
doesn't.
if you like country, you're valid.
Yeah, like this doesn't just apply to like what we're talking about, like the Strokes. It's like any music, bangers, bangers. But yeah,
Yeah.
so
Where do you want to start?
I guess since we've already got the Arctic Monkeys and the Strokes, we'll start here.
All right.
The Strokes, they initially like honestly, I first heard the Strokes a couple years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I was just like, sifting through random music on YouTube or what have
Mm-hmm.
you, and I got recommended
Yeah.
like Reptilia, which is their most popular, the Strokes' most popular song, by the way.
At this point, I don't think I would say that's their most popular.
Um,
I'd say it's The Adults Are Talking.
yeah, I mean that's
Yeah.
yeah, I mean that's their most popular, I guess, album in recent
Yeah.
memory, but I think like overall probably like if you're talking about like probably people who have known
Been around.
yeah, been around since the early 2000s, they might say the Reptilia. But yeah, when I first heard Reptilia, I I don't know, back then I was more into like really cleanly produced stuff, that sort of thing. I guess more progressive music, which is like, typically cleaner cut and well produced. When I first heard like the really distorted lo-fi vocals of Julian Casablancas, I was like, okay, I could see the appeal, but I I don't know. This isn't really for me. I don't really like this that much, honestly. Like it didn't really I didn't really get it on a personal level at first, and that's how it was for a while. But I came back to them, years later, and instead of just checking out like Reptilia and stuff, I checked
Mhm.
out, like Is This It and
Yeah.
Room on Fire in general, and
Fire is so
revisited.
good.
Yeah, that's definitely my favorite, the Strokes album. Room on Fire has like, I mean, Is This It is also like an equally great album, I think. But Room on Fire, it's I don't know. I like how I mean, of course, like because it's their second album, production wise and everything, they cleaned things up a little bit.
It
But
also is just a darker sound.
yeah, I like the much. It's more mature. That's what really sticks out to me because the first album is a more dreamy sort of lackadaisical sound.
Dreamy, but it's very much
Yeah.
like it's like a youthful and like very frantic type of affair.
Yeah. I guess so. Yeah, it's more. Yeah, I guess not. Maybe like here and there it could be
It's also
dreamy.
light and bouncy
Yeah, yeah, that's kind of what I meant by
compared to
dreamy. I just meant like more
more
of a loud,
electronic.
yeah, like a lighter sort of sound.
My favorite Strokes album is actually Ingles, which is really funny to say because Ingles is no one's favorite Strokes album.
Well, I mean, I don't know if it's like, I don't know if I'd say that. Like a lot of people like angles,
I
but
know a lot of people like Ingles, but a lot of people like Is This It and Room on.
yeah,
Like I'm pretty sure people would still choose First Impressions of Earth over Ingles.
I,
And there's a good amount of people who defend comeback 80s Come Down Machine.
mm, yeah, I mean, I don't know. Personally, I think angles like they took their sound in a different
Yeah.
direction. They gave it a more, I guess sort of like, sort of jangly, sort of, I
It's
guess kind
a
of
it's a
electronic.
it's a transition. I would say it's a transition phase between the garage lo-fi sound and the more electronic synth 80s driven sound of like modern Strokes with the new abnormal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think yeah, definitely I agree with that. Like the angle with the angles, they were definitely yeah, you could see they're moving more towards in that direction. And for the most part, like all the songs on that album, I think, they're pretty good. Like,
Under Cover of Darkness.
yeah,
I mean,
come on, like you
yeah,
can't just, it's so catchy.
yeah,
And even like off the rip, like the first track, Machu Picchu, or they, just that chorus riff, no, 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 no,
yeah,
no, 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 like that hooks you
yeah,
in, and
yeah.
it's
It's
just
just that one is it's such a fun sounding album,
yeah, it's
which is
fun,
so
it's
crazy.
jaunty.
It's so crazy because the production of that album was a nightmare.
Yeah, I remember hearing like I think right? Like at one point, like when the certain members would go in to record their parts, it would just be them.
Yeah,
Like no one else would be showing up, and that just sounds like,
yeah,
from like a like a creative
hmm
perspective, just like a nightmare. Because like it's
yeah.
just everything's just like everybody's separated, and it's just it's pigeonhole or it's just like it's isolated, and that isn't really
No, I
it's
get that.
conducive. Yeah.
Um,
Um,
do you have any further impressions of the Strokes, Eric?
yeah, I guess I'll talk about my thoughts on the other
Yeah,
albums.
yeah.
I think yeah, well, I like the Angles album. It's not my favorite, but it is like a really like it's a step in a new direction
hmm
in a really good way. It's really
Yeah,
jaunty and really bouncy.
yeah.
Um, First impressions of Earth, I'm a bit mixed about that. Like the first half of it, I'd say kind of like
hmm
there's some
Yeah,
bangers like You Only Live Once, Juice Box, Razor Blade. Like there's some good songs there,
yeah.
but the latter half, I kind of lose interest a bit. Like the songs aren't bad, they're just kind of
There,
yeah.
they're there.
Um, and you said before you really like or like do you like the album after Angles? I'm blanking out
I
right
do
now.
like Come Down Machine.
Come Down
I
Machine,
like
yeah.
Machine a lot, but I will let you talk about it before I give my impression of the Strokes and my history of the Strokes.
Okay, thank you. In regards to Come Down Machine, I like there's some tracks that I like the first track I think Tap Out it's called, that it has a really catchy riff and other songs like I forgot which other ones like
One Way Trigger.
One Way Trigger, yeah. And Call It Fate, Call It Karma, all very like that one especially, I guess you could say is a bit more like of a loungy sort of like
You could actually say that one is dreamy.
yeah, dreamy. Yeah, you could actually that is a very like the poster child of a dreamy song. But I think overall, like I guess this is a general sentiment, but I think Come Down Machine, well, there are some good tracks here and there. The overall like vibe of the album, like or just the overall album is very I don't know, like it's laid back and chill, but in a way it's not really in like a cool sort of like it's more in a generic way to me. Like it doesn't really stick out. Like a lot of the songs are just kind of like Julian his vocals, in previous albums they're very, they kind of like, they're harmonizing and they're bouncing with the sounds of like the instrumentals. But in this album, it's just kind of more low key and just I don't know. They're just kind of there in my opinion. There isn't really a
Mm,
lot of synergy compared to the other releases. Well, I do appreciate, like I said, that it has this sort of like dreamier, chiller vibe, which is cool. I don't think it's not really captivating enough to make it like a really great album for me. It's just kind of, I guess, middling in my opinion. But you know,
Understandable.
that's how I feel about it. I could see both sides of the argument. And
New abnormal.
New Abnormal, yes, New Abnormal. They um they definitely went back, kind of like in a similar vein to Angles. They went in a very, electronic, more electronic sort of sound, kind of, or, just that sort of sound. And they executed it really well,
Hmm.
arguably even more so than like, I mean, it's not, it's different than Angles, but like, I guess it's a,
I think the production is the most crisp it's ever
yeah,
been.
yeah. The crisp is like, yeah, yeah. It's it's not as lo-fi as like the early releases. It's more like, definitely way more produced.
Definitely feel it fits within like the indie sort of clean, like it's a slick aesthetic.
Yeah, slick, slick. Yeah, definitely. While the older Strokes albums were more about that dirtier, grungy sort of, just like DIY
Yeah.
sort of aesthetic. This album is like, it's more about like it's I guess like a kind of simplistic vibe, but it's like it's slick and clean,
Yeah.
like that sort of thing. But yeah, I think well, there are some songs like Eternal Summer that are kind of like I don't know, they kind of just drone a little.
Eternal Summer is my least favorite on them.
Yeah, some songs are just kind of whatever. I think yeah, overall like specifically like the adults are talking. It's got this really like jaunty electronic sort of alternative. Like just an interesting sound to it. And, there's bad decisions, which, I mean, I guess you could kind of argue that part of that success is like they just kind of, you're familiar with, they just kind of like the vocal melody for like the
Yeah.
chorus is like Dancing with
That's
Myself
not,
by Billy Idol. But I mean, regardless,
it's an interesting interpolation.
yeah, it's still a good song though, and Brooklyn Bridge, the chorus and such. Like, yeah, there's some good ideas, but not only does the album have like a lot of these interspersed, um, a lot of these strong songs. The ending track, "Go to the Mets," is like such a really good like, build up and release. The vocal cadence of Julian is so it's just
Yeah.
it's kind of I guess I don't want to be dramatic. I don't want to say it's transcendent, but it's just it's so cool. It's so silky smooth, you
Hmm.
know.
Yeah.
And yeah, overall like great album. I'm pretty sure yeah,
Yeah.
you've heard they're working on new material.
Are they? I haven't heard that.
Or I believe so. Like
Yeah.
there
It's
some
been
stuff
three
is in the
years. It's been
works.
3 years.
So there's stuff in the in the pipeline.
That's so
And
exciting for
yeah,
me.
yeah, and I'm excited because
Yeah,
this
that's so
album, it's like it shows that like, a lot
I
of
got it.
yeah, a lot of people think like, okay, they're out of their prime now, but no,
Yeah.
they can still make
Yeah.
some good old, music that's,
Yeah.
in a new direction. And yeah, that's those are my thoughts
For the Strokes,
for
I really like your thoughts. I thought that you did a good job in encapsulating mainly the sound of things
yeah,
because it's very much that's what you first hear, right?
yeah.
All the instrumental layers compounding on top of each other to create an atmosphere and a tone, right? That just engulfs you. I think that you had really good thoughts on that, and I think I liked how you like took us through like your retrospective journey and like thoughts on all the albums. Although I think I will defend Comeback Machine a little bit more than you will.
That's fair, honestly.
Yeah. Okay. You want me to start?
Do you want to talk more about the Strokes or something else?
Oh no! I was like, do you want me to start with my history of the Strokes?
Oh, I guess there's one last thing I
Yeah.
want to chip in, I guess, in regards to me, is I kind of do want to divulge on the instrumentation a little bit more, not too much, specifically in the earlier albums, because I am myself like I've been playing instruments, specifically guitar, for a couple of years, and when I listen to like a lot of the music I listen to, I try to I try to look at it, see how they're composed and see what,
Hmm.
what's going
Yeah.
on under the hood. And I'm not going to go too far into musical jargon because I don't want to alienate people.
Let's go music theory.
But, especially in the first two albums, like Is This It and Room on Fire, those songs are, I'd say, deceptively simple. Cause you could say like, cause like when you're listening to them, like, because I guess it's partly due to the lo-fi
Yeah.
aesthetic. You think it's like, okay, he's probably just playing something more standard or whatever, that's what I'd feel like, I looking around like online and stuff. A lot of people have that impression. Like it's just like, oh, maybe people who say like the Strokes are overrated, I don't know, they just think like, oh yeah, they just kind of like they just kind of got just got lucky with the times. But
Yeah.
I think I don't agree with that.
You
but
think they're good and they deserve their place.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because on a compositional level, like you're familiar that for
Yeah.
the first two albums,
Yeah.
Julian wrote like a lot of them.
He actually wrote a lot of them for all three.
Yeah, all
The
three.
first three. The first
Yeah,
three.
yeah, which is like, I mean, kudos to him, but also like, I mean, I don't want to throw like any other members of under the bus because they also, I think Angles was a more collaborative thing, and they
Like in a bitter way.
in a better way, and that came out great. But anyways, going back to the instrumentation, the way Julian, like, the way he moves between chords in
Yeah.
his songs,
Yeah.
like, you just look at one guitar part. Okay, so he's going from this chord to that chord.
Yeah.
Okay, that's interesting. I mean, it's that in and of itself is good because is pretty. I mean, because like
Yeah.
he doesn't play them conventionally.
Hmm.
He plays them like he he composes in a way that focuses on like where the notes are
Hmm.
going. For people
Yeah.
who play guitar, like you can play like the standard way to
Yeah.
play notes is like kind of, I guess, like disjointed in a way.
Yeah.
And the way he composes it in a way that like the notes lead into each other into the next chord, which makes this song sound a lot better,
Hmm.
in my opinion. And another thing too is just the layers.
Hmm.
Um, one guitar is doing, okay, you think it's simple, okay, it's a chord progression, but the other guitar is playing like a melody over that, like a lick or a riff or
Yeah.
whatever. And when you look at those parts together,
Hmm.
you can see that there's actually like he's turning like some really simple chord into something a bit larger by applying, notes and a melody over it. That's as far as I'm probably gonna go there. I don't want
Hmm.
to add
Yeah.
too much stuff, but that just shows like this music it's good for a reason.
Yeah.
It's good because not only is like, the general spirit and zeitgeist of the times and like, the DIY, cool ethic, but
Yeah.
these guys they knew what they were doing.
You are currently dressed like a Strokes member right now.
Yeah.
Eric could literally be one of the Strokes if he wanted
I've
to.
got the a denim jacket and the denim jeans and yeah, I
So true.
that's like early 2000 Strokes
Yeah.
attire and like Arctic Monkeys and stuff too. A lot of just the early Mindies.
No, Arctic Monkeys literally dressed like they were like the long sleeves and the t-shirts and a graphic t-shirt.
Mm.
Like they were like they didn't adopt their like slick like cool aesthetic until Suck It and See.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. But that's
Yeah.
yeah, that's all I really wanted to say in regards to the
No,
instrumentation.
I
Yeah.
liked your insight.
Yeah, it's
It was good because I cannot analyze musical theory or music and its instrumentation on that level either because I'm not very well educated in terms of that. I just like how things sound.
yeah, that's fair,
And
honestly.
full transparency, I'm sorry if I don't sound like the most I don't have the most expertise in talking about music, mainly just because I'm not that knowledgeable about it.
I mean, no, you don't need to know a whole bunch of music theory or anything
Yeah.
to really talk about
Mhm.
music. I mean, some of the best musicians, obviously,
Yeah.
they didn't
Hmm.
they didn't know they didn't know the ins and outs.
Yeah,
They had the feeling, they had the
Yeah.
spirit, and that's what matters.
that's good.
you know.
Okay. So let's get started with me.
Okay.
So I was introduced to the Strokes in 2020, like towards the end, beginning of 2021. I had this friend named Lexi. She would share a lot of music with me, and so that's how I found out about bands like what was it, Men I Trust. That's how I know more about I know more about Current Joys and like Alexandra Saver and Soccer Mommy now because of her. I haven't talked to her in a while, but I'm very grateful that she was able to introduce me to a lot of music. And one of the bands that like really really stuck with me was The Strokes, because two of the songs that she shared were At the Door and The Adults Are Talking,
Hmm.
which is
Bangers.
those are really good songs. I just because the new abnormal, those songs are very colorful, even despite their subject matter. I would say that they're very easy and very swift listens. And so I think I kept listening to that like long after like I had no longer been able to talk to her. And then I just was like one day I was like I I want to listen to more Strokes because there's a like during the pandemic it was like a time of like musical discovery for me in which I would like go through many different like bands because I did not have anything better to do, so I was like let me listen to music and spice up my life a little bit more.
Mm.
So I think I went through almost all their albums except for First Impressions of Earth for some reason. Really just cuz that one always seemed like not it would never be my favorite, and it's not my
Mm.
favorite.
That's
Um,
fair.
so I guess I can take you through my impressions of each of the albums as well. So for Is This It? I really like Is This It? I mean, I feel like that's a very common opinion to have, right?
Yeah.
But it's just it's kind of a classic,
Yeah. I
and it's a
mean,
classic for a reason. Yeah.
yeah, it's a common opinion, but it's a great opinion.
Yeah. Um, it's just okay. So I think what I think one of the stories I heard was that Julian and his friends sent a they just spent a bunch of time like trying to make tracks in like a rented out like lot or like sort of like what do you call it? Like never mind. It's like a storage container room, right? They
Mhm.
just made a bunch of music in there. And then I think they sent it to one producer or one like record label, and then they called it like the most amateurish music I have ever heard in my life, right? But then they kept singing at like live shows, and then they just kind of spread through word of mouth. And then I think I'm not sure if they're one of the first bands to use like the internet to generate hype, because I don't know if they personally use the internet, but they definitely just got shared a bunch around. And so by the time Is This It came out, there was so much hype around it that was just insane. But this was also post 9/11.
Yeah.
So they originally had a song called New York City Cops. Have you heard it?
Yeah, I've heard it before, yeah.
Where it's basically like there were like a bunch of lines that were making fun of the New York City cops. But then after 9/11, they couldn't really put it on there because it's in poor taste
Yeah, given
given
the
the events
events.
that just happened. So they replaced it with
When it's
when it
how
when it started,
when it started.
when it started, how it started.
How it started. I forgot.
Yeah,
It's one of those.
one of
One
those.
of that was just the name
That's a
of
good
it.
song though.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but it's a good song. It's also on the Spider-Man soundtrack for some reason.
Oh yeah, I
Yeah.
saw that on the Spotify.
Yeah.
It's included.
I know exactly when it plays in the movie. It plays when Peter Parker is like running, and then it plays in like Flash Thompson's car or something like that,
Oh.
which I think is really funny. Um so Is This It? Good album. It starts with the opener, Is This It? Can't you see I'm trying
S tier track.
Yeah, it's a S tier track. It's a good one, and I think that it's a really good introduction because it's not loud or blaring, and
Yeah.
it just kind of like eases you into it, right?
Yeah.
And it's really easy, and it has like a sort of wariness and maturity to it that I find it nice.
Yeah. And
And then
oh
yeah, oh
sorry.
yeah,
Oh yeah, I just wanted and to add on what you were saying, yeah, it also like how it like it doesn't just start with like, everybody
yeah,
just starts playing immediately,
hmm
like the first couple of bars or whatever, it starts with the riff and
hmm
Julian singing and then the bass comes in and then the drums come in
yeah,
and it starts, it sort of crescendos, I guess you could say, like everyone starts
yeah,
coming together and
yeah.
I think that's really cool. It's
Yeah.
gradually builds up to like the band's sound.
Mm-hmm.
But sorry, continue.
Oh no, you're okay. I think that I'm gonna take you through some of my favorites. So I'm gonna play them on my phone just to remind myself of them, but it probably won't be captured on there, but I'll just be talking over it. So let me pull up Is This It? I know I personally really like Barely Legal for some reason. Like
Oh yeah.
it's nice. It's a lot of Strokes music reminds me of the beach for some reason. It feels like something I could really listen to it at the beach, which is to say like it's kind of sunny and it's easy and it's breezy and it reminds me of feeling good. It makes me feel good on a good day,
Mm.
even if the lyrical content isn't really. Because this one is literally poking fun at Julian's dad
Yeah.
for like dating a barely legal, um, you know, model. I don't know, girl.
Yeah, something like that.
Something like that.
Something like that.
I really like Bare Legal because it's fun and it's cheeky. A lot of Strokes songs are pretty cheeky in that manner. Like there's a sense of humor to them, right? And I also really like Someday, but like Someday is the most popular off of this one.
Yeah.
It's just I think it would be a good TV intro theme.
Mhm.
Like definitely feels like something you look back on.
Yeah.
Like if you were to make a memoir of our college years, then you'd probably put this in here.
Yeah. It kind of like
Yeah.
I guess this is kind of where I kind of got the dreamy sound from, or I guess I meant nostalgic because like
Yeah.
it's like this is kind of has
All of this feels nostalgic in a
Yeah.
sense, even if we didn't grow up with it.
Yeah.
And this one particularly is just like it's very much like looking towards a good future. It's also looking back on or it's trying to hope for a good future, but it's also looking back and saying like, oh, didn't we have it good in the old days?
Mm. Yeah.
Something to note about Someday is that it's very much like the Strokes song, like to like it's kind of like a weed out song in that like if this is their favorite Strokes song, then I don't know if like you're a real fan or not. I don't know because it's like the people who say they listen to 505 by Arctic Monkeys and it's like, "Oh, you listen to Arctic Monkeys?" "Yeah, I listen to 505." It's like, "Do you listen to any other songs?" Yeah, it's kind of like that.
Yeah, that divide between like okay, people who are like who just like the popular,
Yeah.
more popular sort
Yeah.
of accessible sounds versus like that's a whole debate in and of itself.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And I think what a lot of this album does really well is that it just it's just different from what was happening at the time. Like what was the rock music like at the time?
Like prior or like around
Around the same time.
shortly before like
Yeah.
the Strokes really became popular, a lot of people were saying like, classic rock and roll was kind of dying because I
Yeah.
think around, at that time like a lot of like new metal was popular, like Limp Bizkit
Yeah.
and stuff like that, which people saw as like really divorced
Yeah.
from the rock and roll roots.
Yeah, and then Radiohead was just kind of like
Yeah, doing more progressive
doing
stuff.
insane and
Yeah.
experimental stuff, which we'll get to Radiohead.
Yeah. And
Like-
so people were like, rock and roll is dying
Yeah.
and stuff. And Strokes just, and other bands, like, which we'll talk about.
Sweet spot.
Yeah, it hit a
Sweet
sweet spot.
spot that wasn't very harsh to listen to, but was definitely like guitar infused and very
Yeah.
like it had a gritty, youthful sound to it.
Yeah. It wasn't just like gritty, like, punk rock.
Mm-hmm.
It was, post-punky sort of, but lo-fi, but it, like adding more modern, like melodic sensibilities too.
And then the last song I wanted to mention off of Is This It is Hard to Explain. I know it's gotten a little bit of traction somewhere. I feel like it's gotten a little bit popular on either YouTube or TikTok. I'm not sure. But it's just another fun song. I think the hook and the riff goes kind of hard. Let me pull it up cuz it is good. Yeah, it's just good.
Yeah.
It kind of loops itself around
Yeah.
in that it doesn't have that much musical variety. I can probably say the same thing about a lot of the Strokes song, like on the first two albums. Like it definitely feels like they could be a double album, as in they blend together tonally and like sonically. but and sometimes I can't remember and I get mixed up which song is which, right?
Mm.
But overall, a very pleasant listen. Um,
Yeah, and it's
yeah.
for any instrumentalist out there, it's fun to play too.
Mm. And then so now we move on to Room on Fire, which is Eric's favorite.
Yeah,
It's it's not necessarily my favorite, but I do respect it and I like it a lot.
that's
I
fair.
think it does a lot for I know that they definitely did this because they felt rushed to sort of make a follow up to Is This It? So it was definitely more stressful, right?
Yeah, and a lot of the songs, some of the songs tracks were like a response to this new like
Yeah.
tension, like whatever happened, like that's just
Yeah.
the lyrics are like about kind of, like we don't want to be
Yeah.
in the
Yeah.
limelight anymore. There's
Yeah.
all this pressure. We want to be forgotten.
Yeah. Did you know that Nigel Godrich was originally supposed to produce this album?
Oh yeah, yeah, I
Yeah.
heard.
Nigel Godrich is the producer who works with Radiohead. But then both him and Julian are supposedly control freaks. So that did not work out. So they just went back to the same producer as Is This It? And that's why the sound is very sonically similar.
Yeah, which I mean it isn't a bad thing.
Yeah.
I like the sound
Mhm.
they had.
Reptilia, a classic. That one's definitely like the most if you could capture that in like a description, you would probably be like uh mid 2000s sort of edgy
Yeah,
teenage
angst.
angst.
The angst of that time. Yeah.
Yeah. It's definitely like it definitely is like if you listen to the Strokes, you were cool. That's the
Yeah.
general vibe that I got. Like this is the cool music you're supposed to like. Um Particularly with Room on Fire because Is This It is just like naturally cool, but like Room on Fire is like trying to be cool.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, 1251 is actually my favorite off the
Yeah.
yeah, because it's like it sounds like a Tron soundtrack.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
The Spotify is a weird thing where the first 5 seconds is like
Oh yeah.
because they wanted I think it was like that in the album. They wanted to make it like a cassette or something or a
Yeah.
vinyl, I forgot.
Got it.
But
Oh no, but 1251 is fun because it's very synthy.
yeah.
It's like one of their first experiences with like electronics type of like synth pop type of
Yeah.
affairs, and it's fun.
Yeah, and the music video, it's very Tron inspired. It's
Oh, and also Julian. I forgot Julian. Like his voice module effects stuff like that. Like this is one of the I think is this one of the first times where he like played with voice effects? Because
I'm not sure. Are you talking about the guitar behind him or like his voice?
his voice.
I'm not sure actually. I know like, something that
He went off the rails like after he did his Daft Punk experiments.
yeah, like with Daft Punk and stuff, like I mean when you're collabing with Daft Punk, yeah, there's a lot of auto tuning
Yeah.
and stuff like that. And you saw that future in like the new abnormal.
Um. Oh, and the end has no end. That was another good one. I swear I remember there's a reference in the music video that I forgot about. But the end has no end is very good. I like that. Other than that, I don't really have any other impressions on Room on Fire. Is kind of almost on par with Is This It, but I just kind of think that Is This It has slightly more memorable tracks.
I mean that yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean for me, like I've already gave my piece, but I just like the more mature sort of like sound to it, I guess.
Mhm.
Overall,
Yeah.
that's what really
We're
gets
skipping
me.
over First Impressions of Earth mainly because I don't remember any of it.
Yeah, just the first half for me is the only
Angles!
exactly.
Angles! Let's go! Okay, Angles. Machu Picchu is very fun. Let's play it. But it's like, they are definitely like leaning into the 80s influences.
Yeah,
This one.
kind of new wavy.
Yeah.
Sort of.
Definitely just like the intro is just, yeah. And also the vocal patterns and melodies are just very different, right?
Yeah,
And I think this one is just very enjoyable because it's a lot. It's probably their easiest listen since Is This It?
yeah,
Yeah. And I think it does a good job of melding the electronics and the guitars, like the analog sounds too.
yeah.
And then Under Cover of Darkness is actually really fun because it's like a meta commentary on their own like popularity too.
Mm.
Everyone's singing the same song for 10 years. Everyone just only likes Is This It and then doesn't even like was it First Impressions of Earth and Room on Fire, even though I don't really like First Impressions of Earth.
Hmm.
Yeah. And then I do think that have you ever listened to Call Me Back? Um
Yeah, I've heard it before.
I
It's
don't know about you, but have you ever watched Orin High School Host Club?
oh yeah, I've seen her in high school.
So everyone probably knows the ending, like the ending guitar riff on the ending of Orin High School Host Club. I was like, when I first heard this, I was like, that sounds so familiar. And then it's like I was like, oh, because they sound like almost the same, which I think is fun.
I never noticed that. I
Yeah.
mean, it's been a while since I've seen that anime.
Gratisfaction is fun because it sounds like it's like an old like Beatles swing type
Yeah.
of beat,
Yeah.
but like transposed with their own style. And then Life is Simple in the Moonlight. Mwah.
Yeah.
It's good. I'm sorry I don't have that many thoughts on this.
No, it's fine. These are everyone's opinions.
Yeah.
Like, they matter, bro.
I know they matter. I probably should have thought this more through, but like,
I'm doing this off the cuff too.
it's. I can't say much, but like, I really like it.
Yeah.
I really like this one. I just think that this one is so.
Yeah.
This one is so. It's so fun to listen to.
Yeah.
I have this one on CD.
Nice. Yeah. And I also think like it's one of the things where like the instrumental, like it correlates, it's compatible with
Yeah.
the title of the song too, because like that, it's that really,
It's like a theremin. It's like a theremin that
Yeah.
reflects the nighttime.
yeah, it's like
Space.
It's like music you're listening to at that, you're at a river or like
Yeah.
a pond or something,
Yeah.
and the moon's out there and the moonlight's reflecting.
Mhm.
That's the exact vibe you get, and it matches so well with the song name.
Wait, now that I'm thinking about it, I don't actually have that much to say about Come Down Machine either. Oh my god. Ah. But I think the one song that everyone should listen to is Call It Fate, Call It Karma.
Yeah.
That one sounds like an A24 movie. I don't know about you, but I've thought many times of literally just shooting a movie or like shooting like a random short film like trailer. Like a trailer for a fake imaginary movie and then just putting the song over it.
Yeah, I can see that.
Cuz it's very romantic in a sense.
Yeah.
It's romantic, and the way that his voice is filtered just makes it sound like an old 80s song from 70s on like a degraded like vinyl or something.
Yeah. Like very, yeah, you
Yeah.
can see a lot of like.
It is one of
fat.
my personal favorite
Um,
Strokes songs. I listen to this one a lot.
Yeah, that's fair. It is a vibe. Like, I, like I listen to, like when you're in the mood,
Yeah.
more in a chill mood, then this is one of the songs I go to.
Mm-hmm. It also
Kind of.
calms me down.
Yeah.
I have no idea why it's called Call It Fate, Call It Karma. It's just a cool title.
Yeah. Maybe it's the lyrics. I have no idea. I haven't really.
When the chorus hits, it's just euphoria.
Yeah, it's like.
And then the new normal. This is actually the one that I've listened to the most.
Mm.
Just because I like all of them. The Adults Are Talking is actually the one that I've introduced my friends to. It's very good. It's very fun. I like how it pokes fun at adults who talk down at you. Even though the fact at this point in time, Julian and the others would be the adults that are talking down to you.
Yeah.
So it's kind of poking
So it's
fun at
kind of
their
like an
truthiness.
ironic sort of
Yeah.
ride thing.
Oh, so one thing to know is that Julian, for some reason, always likes to write the lyric enemy into his songs. For some reason, he's always battling some sort of enemy in his songs when he's singing. Right?
I never noticed that, but then again, I don't really pay much attention. I'm not really a lyrics guy. I'm an instrumental guy.
Selfless is fun. It's
Yeah.
it very much is like I'm so devoted. Like I will do anything for you, even if it harms me. Right? I will live for you. Brooklyn Bridge to chorus is fun. It sounds like an NES song. Like part of it sounds like.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just sounds like an old Nintendo song,
Yeah, like a chiptune
yeah.
type of thing.
and I think it's fun. It also just sounds 80s too.
Yeah, very synthy,
Yeah.
synth poppy.
Yeah. And then Bad Decisions, we already talked about. That's very much just like dancing with myself, mixed with I Melt the World.
Mm.
I Stop the World and Melt with You.
Yeah.
I Melt with You. That's a good song. Oh, I don't like Eternal Summer. At the Door was that was a crazy experience because it's crazy to see Julian Casablancas, whose lyrical content up to this point was a lot about discussing youthful relationships and stuff, and also like a meta commentary on like their own band's status. And this one is just him talking about death at the door,
Oh, that's
which
like
is
a yeah.
it just shows
Oh,
like how age and perspective can change like the way you make and create art. You
yeah.
know.
If you get older and you get that, you hit the
Yeah.
existential
I
crisis.
think I also really like Why Are Sundays So Depressing? Cause do 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 do
Mm.
do 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 do. You know that guitar riff, right?
Mm.
Hold up, I'm. Yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
Also, something I noticed was that there's a lot of call and response type of things.
Mm.
Like like one guitar will play this and then the other guitar will play that. It's like a cool like back and forth.
Yeah. Which is like, that's like the foundation of like
Yeah.
a lot of great
Yeah.
songs is the
And
call and
then
response.
Go
Yeah.
to the Mets. I had to single out the outro. Gone now are the old times forgotten. Time to hold on the rain. The Rubik's Cube isn't solving for us. Yeah, it's just good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
And it's just it's like a spiral.
yeah.
And it's a great 45 seconds of music. I
Yeah.
personally think.
Yeah, I like that too. I mean, I'm a sucker for
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
opening too,
Yeah.
because like Julian's voice and the way it builds up
Yeah.
to the drum coming
Yeah.
in and
Oh, and
everything.
then the drums, please, Fab.
Yeah,
Yeah, just
got
like
it
that
all.
little. Yeah.
I've got it
Yeah.
all.
I
Yeah,
enjoy how the in specifically the new abnormal, it's there are snippets of the behind the scenes recording sessions within the songs, right? Just showing them having fun.
yeah,
And that's what I most like about this. This is the album where they had fun again.
yeah. It's
Because
not
not
just
yeah,
yeah, it's not just like okay contracts.
yeah,
We're just doing this for the
yeah. This is the one that most reminds me of California for some reason because it sounds most like a California album in the chill lackadaisicality of it. Yeah.
yeah.
So yeah, that's all I know about the Strokes. But the Strokes are fun. I listen to them a lot. I have Angles on CD and I have the new Abnormal on
Mm,
CD. Thomas really, my brother Thomas, he really likes Selfless and the Adults Are Talking.
that's
I've gotten my friend Cameron on the Adults Are Talking. Yeah, I don't know who else I can convince about the Strokes.
That's
Yeah,
cool.
yeah.
Um, yeah, I need to get more Strokes paraphernalia. I've got the Room on Fire vinyl, which I got recently because I'm like, that's my favorite Strokes album. I've got to get it. I got a
Mm,
record player
yeah.
recently, and I got some other records. But yeah, I we've already we've given our piece on the Strokes, and I think there's something else I wanted to bring up, but it's escaping me right now.
It's okay.
Um, oh yeah. I wanted to kind of talk a little bit about Julian Casablanca's individual stuff too.
Oh, are we gonna talk about the Voids?
The Voids. I don't actually. I've listened to the Voids. I
Are we
don't
gonna
listen
talk about Human Sadness?
Human Sadness. Oh my gosh.
Human Sadness is insane.
Yeah, it's insane what they do, what they did in just in that one song.
Yeah. It's an
Um,
11-minute song.
yeah,
That sounds like you're in the depths of the abyss.
yeah. Just the desolation they captured in
Yeah.
that song is
Yeah.
like amazing. But I
And the
honestly,
distortion. There's so much heavy distortion,
yeah,
which I think that Julian started like embracing a little bit. I think it's really fun just seeing like how the Strokes' individual projects have also influenced their latest projects too.
yeah. How it's like all these pieces you can kind of see them
Yeah.
shifted
Yeah.
around and forming together into an amalgam
Yeah.
of what's what they have today.
Hmm.
Um, I need to listen to the Voids more honestly, but prior to coming in for the podcast today, I listened to Julian's debut, his solo album
Yeah.
again, and he's as we've talked about, like he wrote a lot of the material in the first three albums. He knows how to write some bangers, but those especially, like he these songs they went kind of in a more, I guess, kind of like a prelude to what he would do with the Voids and with the Strokes in the future. They're in a more
Mhm.
kind of, I guess, electron. Some of them are kind of more new wave electronic sounding, And
Yeah.
even in like I forgot that what's one song, Ludwig Street, there's even like this folksy sort of
I'm gonna
peaking
be
thing.
I'm gonna be fully honest with you, Eric. I have not listened to Julian Casablancas solo work.
Oh, that's fair. Okay, yeah, I'll keep this brief then. I don't want to just have this be a one-sided
Yeah.
conversation, but I just wanted to shine light on that. And there is one thing that is a crime is he did this commercial, right? He did this commercial for this cologne. It was like
Hmm.
a cologne that's
Yeah.
kind of for like I don't know, it was
Yeah.
for musicians or like they marketed it towards musicians.
That's a silly concept.
Yeah,
Marketing a cologne towards
it's called
musicians.
Decibel or something.
Mm.
And he made this original song for this commercial, right?
Hmm.
And that song is such a banger. Let's pull it up right now,
Yeah.
actually.
What
Um,
is it called?
it's called I Like the Night, I'm pretty sure. He never made a full version and released it. And it's such a crime because it it's a banger. Even like the 1 minute he shows they have in the commercial,
Yeah.
it's so good. And he should have. I don't get it, man. But yeah, this is the full version that actually fans pieced together from like studio
Yeah.
outtakes and stuff, which I think is the best
Mm.
version. But
Yeah.
yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and this was for a commercial, you know.
That's cool.
Yeah, yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah.
He never released that outside of that commercial. Never released the full version,
So
but
sorry.
it's yeah, I mean, thanks for the consolation I needed after that coming realizing that fact. But yeah, anyways, that's truly all I have to say about the Strokes now.
Overall impressions, The Strokes, great. Just great. I would highly recommend their music. Starting points. Let's see, starting points. I would recommend starting with The New Abnormal.
Yeah.
Mainly because I think that one is genuinely like the easiest one
Yeah,
to
yeah,
get into.
yeah. I mean,
And it very much fits like a modern sensibility, right?
yeah, the production's solid. It's kind of like
Rick Rubin.
yeah, Rick Rubin, legendary producer. He's produced so many legendary artists
Yeah.
in the past, so many big names out there.
Mhm.
He helped produce this album and you can it's just like it's it's a good starting point because it has a little bit of everything modern wise,
Yeah.
So that's
I
valid.
think you're at least going to like one song on there.
Yeah.
I think you're bound to like at least one song.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with Matthew. I think that's a good starting point. If you're into more of like, like rock sort of stuff or, just that indie rock or just indie rock in general, you could also start with their first two. Those are bangers as well, but honestly, like you can't go wrong with any of like,
Yeah.
Is This It or New Abnormal.
Do not start with first impression.
Yeah, don't start with that. That is not the way you want to jump into the Strokes. Even if there are some good songs on it, I don't think it's the best first impression.
Yeah.
No pun intended.
Mhm.
But yeah. Okay, so what do you wanna talk about next?
Do you want to go to Arctic Monkeys?
I don't really have a whole bunch to say about Arctic Monkeys personally. Like I like their sound.
Yeah.
I don't really have like I haven't had like a lot of personal experience with them.
I have a far more personal
Yeah, so this
Arctic Monkey.
yeah,
And
you can take the wheel. You can take the wheel here.
Okay, okay. Got it. So Arctic Monkeys also came in the same package where it was like along with the Strokes. I think for that one it was I listened to all of favorite worst nightmare and I love the speed of it all.
Yeah.
The thing about the Strokes is that they very much move at a very chill, not so much a chill, but like a they're not exactly a fast band, right?
Yeah, I guess yeah, they're more chill, sort of cavalier
They're slow,
sort of sounds.
slow soft rock,
Yeah.
soft beach rock almost, right?
I could see that.
Or just soft rock with
Yeah,
like a lot
yeah.
of different influences.
Softer, slower.
Yeah, but the moment I heard Brian Storm, my life changed forever.
Yeah.
It was just like so fast. Do 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 do.
Yeah,
do.
yeah,
I
like
couldn't even understand what Alex Turner is saying. So
Yeah.
Arctic Monkeys is a band from Sheffield, formed around like 2004 or something
I think
like that.
2002.
2002?
Really? That's when they got together, but they did a similar thing with the Strokes, I'm pretty sure. Like the Strokes, they built up a fan base
Yeah.
by touring and doing shows and stuff like that.
I actually know this, but
Yeah, yeah.
So originally Alex and his friends from high school were like, we really like hip hop beats, right? And then he had like a guitar and stuff. But then once they heard the Strokes, they were like, I just wanted to be one of the Strokes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you know,
I
that's
don't know about you, but that's foreshadowing because that's a lyric in Tranquility Base and Hotel.
yeah, Tranquility Base in Hotel, the first song.
Hotel and Casino.
Yeah,
But so they were like, we gotta make a band, boys. And so basically, they didn't even do any self promotion themselves. They just kind of just toured around like their local areas and gave everyone they could CDs of themselves.
yeah.
And then they just kind of spread. Any of you guys remember MySpace? MySpace of all
Yeah,
things.
my mom used to use MySpace back.
There's a lot of music sharing going on in MySpace, and I
Yeah,
think that Arctic Monkeys just got spread around through word of mouth on MySpace. So much so that when they released their first album, Whatever People Say I Am, That's What I'm Not, it became the fastest selling debut by a British band in history, and I think it still holds that distinction.
yeah, think so. Yeah, it blew up.
I'm just gonna say, the Whatever People Say That What I Am, That's What I'm Not is their second best album.
Hmm.
I really, really, really like it. It's so good.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
Like I bet you look good on the dance floor. Banger.
yeah, I think a lot of that is that it just captures more so than the Strokes, rather than angst. It captures youth. It captures what it's like to be like young and like doing a bunch of things that were very popular back in the 2000s. I know it's very much like the times have shifted and like what we do now is very different from back then.
Yeah,
But it's like it still has it still has the spirit of it, right? It still has like, oh yeah, this is what we like to do, and then these are like, oh, these are the problems and issues we run into. And I think that a lot of people just generally related to like the fast blur of it all.
yeah,
Cause like Whatever People Say I Am, That's What I'm Not is a very fast album. Um, and I think they do a good job of balancing it all because it moves along at a really brisk pace
yeah,
and it doesn't overstay its welcome very much. I think it's not exactly the most crisp or well produced out of all the albums. It definitely still sounds like a garage rock like
yeah,
affair, sort of similar to the how the Strokes were brought up. But I think Alex does a really good job with the lyrics because
yeah,
his lyrics are very varied. At least I would personally think so.
yeah,
I think The View from the Afternoon is a really good opener.
yeah.
Um,
Yeah, to
yeah.
kind of add a bit onto the lyrics that I've heard. Yeah, I remember hearing in like, like online or in, looking into like, various bands like the Arctic Monkeys and
Yeah.
stuff and seeing what they do on a lyrical level.
Hmm.
Alex Turner or the lyricist, he applies a lot of like metaphors and idioms. Like, like you've heard the phrase like turn a cold give the cold shoulder or
Yeah.
something, and in his songs he puts like like a cheeky twist
Yeah.
on that, like he says like their shoulder was frozen
Yeah.
and stuff like that, like stuff like that. Yeah,
Describing and creating a scene.
yeah, and it's like
I don't know if you've ever read Alex Turner's love letter to Alexa Chung. I will read it out here
yeah,
right
really.
now. Uh, I'm gonna read out Alex Turner's love letter to Alexa Chung. So if you are not interested in this, you can skip ahead to a certain timestamp. Eric will link it in the description below.
Yeah,
54
But
minutes.
here we go. My mouth hasn't shut up about you since you kissed it. The idea that you may kiss it again is stuck in my brain, which hasn't stopped thinking about you since, well, before any kiss. And now the prospect of those kisses seem to wind me like when you slip on the stars or slip on the stairs and one of the steps hits you in the middle of the back. The notion of them continuing for what is traditionally terrifying forever excites me to an unfamiliar degree. Alex Turner's love letter to Alexa Chung, which I'm like, dang, the bar is so high now.
yeah,
But it's like
poetry.
the way he weaves his words together is like poetry and like a web,
Yeah,
which I think is fun.
yeah.
Yeah, have you heard Riot Van before?
Right, Van?
Riot Van is one of the slower ones, but it's just they capture
I think so.
they capture a melancholic vibe too, especially in the slower songs. And I think they do particularly well is that they kind of they form a curve in terms of like speed. So it's like they start really fast, then they slightly slow down, and then once you hit the middle, and then it goes back up again.
Yeah, that's kind of like a good,
Yeah,
juxtaposition sort of thing.
it
That's
is very good
good for
juxtaposition,
good for
and
a
it
lot of
keeps
songs.
the pace very varied, and it keeps it very flowy.
Yeah, and at some points in like, a couple of the songs there'd
Yeah,
just be breaks where like the
yeah.
drums would stop and you think, it'd be like a fake out sort of end and
Oh
then
yeah,
kick back in
yeah.
and everything. Like
It's
it's
just the
cool.
rush.
Yeah.
The rush is so good. Um, my favorite Arctic Monkey song, and by proxy, one of my favorites of all time, is actually from whatever people think say I am. That's what I'm not. It's a certain romance, which I think is a completes the thesis of everything Arctic Monkeys was about on that album. It's like the nighttime and just like looking for looking for romance and just like what you can find around the nightlife and like the different like types of people you meet throughout. It's just oh, and especially just the instrumentation. It's sweet and it's also fun and it's loud and it's larger than life and
Yeah.
that's what I love so much about it.
Yeah,
I
it's
can't put it into words because I'm not that good at describing music, but it feels like a coming of age theme
very
song.
yeah.
And it's like if my life had a theme song, then it'd probably be that.
Mm.
At least I would hope it would be. I hope it's not boring. I hope my life doesn't have a boring theme song. Yeah.
It's probably a banger, I
So
think.
whatever people say that I am, that's what I'm not. I highly recommend that. That is actually a good starting point.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's the first album and it's a good starting point, so like.
But that's not where I started. I started with favorite worst nightmare,
Yeah.
which is very solid. I think it's maybe their best, but it's not my favorite.
Mm.
Um, so it starts with so everything about favorite worst nightmare is louder. It's louder and
Yeah.
it's faster.
Faster breakneck speed, so many of the
It's
songs.
so fast. If you thought the first album was fast, this one is crazy.
Yeah.
But several highlights from it. Brainstorm will melt your mind, and what's so funny is that it's very easy to read it as brainstorm, but it's literally brainstorm.
Yeah.
Which I think is so funny.
Yeah.
Kind of cheeky.
Yeah. Like I think
And then there's the break that you were talking about, right?
Yeah.
And then the rush at the end.
Yeah, it's like it's such an adrenaline
Yeah.
thing. Yeah, honestly, like I think if there was like more distortion and if things were heavier, you could even consider it like, like a hardcore, post-hardcore sort of thing.
Yeah.
You know?
I think
Like it's
that's very fun.
yeah.
Then let me just look through the different songs. Oh, my favorite off of favorite worst nightmare is Fluorescent Adolescent.
Yeah, Fluorescent Adolescent, that's a banger right there.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I kind of want to talk about like, our one of the most popular songs by them is 505, right?
Yeah.
And we all know, like, I mean, regardless of how you feel about that, of people saying that's their favorite Arctic Monkey song, it's a
I
thing.
call it a mid Arctic Monkey
Yeah,
song.
I mean, it's good, but yeah, I think it's overall it's a solid, it's a moody song. It's got
Yeah.
some emotion
I
to
think
it.
it's their. I once heard that it was the song that they were most proud of up to that point about
Yeah.
making, because it was the time where they truly felt like, oh yeah, we wrote about a mature subject, right? And like we can be proud about it, right?
Mm.
Or in a sense that it's just I feel like we've grown up a little bit, right? In
Yeah.
a sense, like on a lyrical level.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and another thing too is I think that song is like, how I said the Strokes were kind of like in some ways deceptively simple. I think that song is kind of like the opposite. Like
Yeah.
you think it's like, oh, with the build-up,
Yeah.
there's so much going on, but
Yeah.
no, when you look at like the
Yeah.
chords and
Yeah.
what they're playing,
Yeah.
the entire song is just two chords.
Yeah.
Like it's just like E minor and D minor with like some inversions and sevens here and
Yeah.
there, but just with just that sound, just two chords and a little bit of like, wise rhythm and the drums and everything. They're able to make something
Yeah.
huge.
Yeah.
Something big and the lyrics, and of course the lyrical choice and
I'm
stuff too.
going back to
Yeah.
505. If it's a 7-hour flight or a 45-minute drive. In my imagination, you're waiting, lying on your side. With your hands between your thighs.
It's so good.
Yeah.
It's a good song. Yeah.
Oh my god, I just realized what that line means.
Oh. um.
Okay. Yeah. Um Yeah. Oh, if you were there, beware is also a really good track. I think the guitar riff on that one is probably the most menacing that the Arctic Monkeys has ever sounded. Like it sounds like a like it's like you're suiting up for something and then you're just walking out like with your whole gang. It's like
It kind of sounds like the JoJo song. I forgot one of them.
it just has a aura of coolness that you can just revel in.
Yeah, yeah.
That I do think is really. But then the actual song is kind of okay. But like the in between interludes with this instrumentation and then the final rush of this is just so good. I think that it should be on a film trailer.
Yeah.
Yeah. So favorite worst nightmare, very good. Fluorescent adolescent is very, very fun. I think this one is their cheekiest.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, there's a giant pie fight, I think, in the music video with a bunch of clowns.
Yeah.
The music video is directed by Richard Ayoade, which I don't know if you guys have ever seen Submarine. I'll talk about Submarine in a little bit, but Submarine is one of my favorite coming of age movies. Alex Turner did the music for that, and it was because I think he had a good relationship with Richard, like because Richard directed a few of the music videos and also I think one of their live shows. So that's good. I think, but also this one came out relatively quickly right after what do people say that I am? That's what I'm not, because this is 2007.
Mm.
Whatever people say I am, that's what I'm not came out in 2006.
Mm.
So that's a quick turnaround.
Yeah.
They didn't have to wait long for new Arctic Monkeys music. I think at this point this was like their highest charting album in the US. They were still very popular in the UK, but like in the US, this is like where they're starting to slightly break through.
Yeah.
And this is when Alex still had like his dopey like long haircut. Like he looked like a yeah. He looked like what's his name? He looks like Dwayne from Little Miss Sunshine. I don't know if you've ever seen Paul Dano in Little Miss Sunshine.
I,
It's just like oh, like I guess a better one is he looks like Roderick from like the Diary of a Movie Kid.
oh.
But like yeah, which I think that's pretty funny, and he kept like that hair until like the AM era.
Mm.
Um. Oh, okay. Then we move on to I believe it's
Humbug?
Humbug, right?
Yeah.
I don't have many thoughts on Humbug. Humbug's not my favorite one to listen to.
Yeah, me neither. Like,
Have you listened to Queens of the Stone Age?
yeah, I've listened to Queens of the Stone Age.
Do you
Yeah.
like Queens of the Stone?
I've only listened to their songs for the Deaf album.
Yeah.
I think it's pretty cool. I think Josh Homme, like, I don't know. I mean, part of the appeal of Queens of the Stone Age is like they have the whole cavalier rock star kind of
Yeah.
look.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think there's a lot of solid stuff in that album, especially. I like it. Yeah,
I think that album is a little bit too blaringly loud for me.
that's fair. I mean, I'm a fan of like loud music. I mean, the thing that got me into like guitar and that
Like
sort of
like
thing.
it sounds like it's blown out, like so loud that's almost blown out.
Yeah, I think that's
Yeah.
called like I don't know. It's called desert rock.
Oh, it is
Desert rock. Yeah.
Stoner
desert
Sludge rock.
Sludge rock. Yeah.
Yeah.
That sort of thing. That's kind of part of like I guess the genre, but you know,
And that's
for everybody.
But and so Josh Homme was the producer on Humbug, which is interesting because
Yeah.
that's like he helped like the boys. Like this is very much a transition album, right? So Crying Lightning is good. That one sounds heavy. It's like super heavy. Like the guitar sounds blown out too. Like I was saying,
like
right?
buzzed.
Yeah. Fuzzy. And it's like I don't think the melodies are as good on Humbug as they were on the previous ones, right?
Yeah, I don't think.
Cornerstone is my favorite. I think Cornerstone is fun. And it's just the little reverse.
Yeah.
Oh, also if you've seen the music video for Cornerstone, Cornerstone is so funny. It's they use a bunch of different special effects for Crying Lightning's music video. So basically a bunch of people were making jokes like, oh, they ran out of budget. So basically they just had Alex Turner stand in a white room with a pretend with a with like a microphone that's not even hooked up to anything and just sing and then they would just dub the music over it. It's so funny. I think that's my favorite music video, but Cornerstone's my favorite off of Humbug. I just think I think it's just a fun song. And the rest of it I'm not too big on. It's all right.
Yeah,
It's great as an
yeah,
album.
it's all right. Like it's not like really mind blowing, like really good, great.
If
like the
you
other
wanted
stuff,
to
but
listen
it's
to a
okay.
I think that if you wanted to listen to this type of music, you would just go to Queens of the Stone Age.
Yeah, I
but
could see that.
it is nice because it you definitely can hear Alex's voice changing because he sounds a lot smoother. He doesn't sound as scruffy. Like like this is like him transitioning more into AM Alex.
Mm.
Because oh, I also have to always applaud Matt Helders on the drums. He goes crazy. Like some of the things is like how fast do you need to actually drum for this to be possible?
Those blast beats.
Yeah. Oh, Second C. I love Second C. That's like the one that people don't really like single out as anyone's favorite,
Mm.
but it's like a old vintage like pop album, right? In terms of it's very romantic. And then
Yeah.
like a lot of it is very much like love songs that are just very nice to listen to on a lyrical level. And with Alex poetry, even though on this one is very hit or miss,
Mm.
it still makes you feel very nice. So like it's I think it's fun, but I don't know if you don't listen to it enough, then I can definitely see where you're like, oh yeah, this one's probably the most forgettable out of all of it because it does sound like a little bit more generic, but that's because it's also like a fun listen to like go through.
Mm.
Um, oh, I guess I need to talk about Submarine now. Submarine is a 2010 coming of age film by Richard Ayoade. Um, Alex Turner did the music for that. So I don't know if you've listened to that album. It's a 5 song album, but
Um,
it has a lot of acoustic guitar and like slight orchestral uh influences as well. And so the Pile Driver Waltz is actually a favorite of mine from that one, and also Hiding Tonight. Um, they actually re-recorded Pile Driver Waltz for Second C, even though I don't really like the studio version as much as I like the submarine version. Just because the submarine version, Alex has a very gentle nature to like. Alex can be very gentle and like wistful,
mm.
like if he wanted to, like on the slower songs, like in Favorite Worst Nightmare, Only Ones Who Know. That's a very good slow like sort of introspective song. I think Arctic Monkeys are very good at introspection. That's something that the Strokes I don't think like have as much
Yeah,
because the
I could
Strokes
see
are
that.
very like very transparent, like just there, right? But then I feel like there's a lot of like underlying currents with like Arctic Monkey songs.
Yeah, I think the Strokes is more about like, I don't know, interpersonal, like I don't know, interactions with the outside
Yeah.
world than
Hmm.
like really picking apart what's on the inside. Generally, I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, I mean there are exceptions probably, but yeah.
So Second Sea is very fun. This is when Alex started having like the leather jacket, and then
Hmm.
like he had really long hair that almost
Yeah.
like covered his eyes. But then I think at this point he like cut it and then did the whole greaser look,
Ah.
which I think is really fun. And then also if you listen to That's Where You're Wrong, it captures the same vibe as like a certain romance, and I think that's just very fun. It yeah, Suck and See, good album. I would also recommend Suck and See just because it's very romantic, and I listen to it whenever I think about like good things. Yeah,
Mm.
it's good. Oh, and then I know everyone has at least heard one song from AM.
Yeah.
Like
Where they
yeah,
exploded.
it's I think this one they took a lot more hip hop influences. And
Yeah.
this is what I heard that like rather than trying to make it sound like good live, they wanted to make something that sound good in your car.
Mm.
And like a lot of the hip hop influences, like especially with the claps and the type of like drum beats.
Mm.
Yeah, it's like it's big sound, right?
Yeah.
And it kind of broke um our notions of like rock and roll because it's like after this they're just like they're the mainstream now.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like this is what they propel them. So like I don't know why this sounds so much like America, which is so funny because it's like I don't know if you've ever seen like sometimes I've seen this with the eagle, like the eagle sound over it. I'm like that is such a that's a
Yeah.
desert California thing.
Yeah.
It's oh my god, it's so funny. But do I want to know is a banger. I think Are You Mine is actually goes harder. Just the
Okay.
guitar riff on it is just
Yeah.
so good. It's so good. And then the Arabella, like the final like the final outro, and then the final guitar solo is so cathartic and euphoric. I think my favorite one is Matt Sounds because it sounds nice. It's just about the love of music. It's about a love of music, and then the chorus where they go like ooh la.
Yeah.
Yeah, like oh also Do you know anything about the Velvet Underground?
Yeah, yeah. I've
This is
listened to the
this
Velvet.
is this is the Velvet Underground.
Yeah, that
Basically.
sounds just like Pale Blue Eye.
Yeah, yeah. Pale Blue Eyes was
Yeah,
good.
yeah. Big inspiration for like a lot of the
Yeah,
early like the Strokes. Big inspiration for them. Velvet Underground.
yeah.
You know, yeah. It shows. It keeps on surviving through
Yeah.
new bands like
Mm-hmm.
Strokes, Arctic Monkeys, etc.
Yeah. Um, and then, Why'd You Only Call Me When You're High is also that's good.
It's a fun track.
It's a fun track, and I think the guitar hook at the end is great. Oh, and but like Knee Socks is also great. I do think that out of all Strokes albums, this one has the worst closer.
You mean Arctic Monkeys?
Or I'm sorry, I think Arctic
Yeah.
Monkeys. I think out of all Arctic Monkeys albums, this one has the worst closer. As in, I really do not like "I Want to Be Yours,"
Hmm.
which is I don't know if it's a hot take or not, but like, come on, you have Certain Romance, then you have 505, then you have the Humbug closer, which is still pretty good. Then you have That's Where You're Wrong. Then you have I Want to Be Yours.
Yeah, that's fair, honestly.
Like, okay, like we're going to go into Tranquility Base, but Tranquility Base has a legendary closer. Like, I swear, even if you do not like Tranquility Base and Hotel and Casino, you will like the closer of that. And Perfect Sense is one of my favorites off of the car.
Hmm.
Yeah, but I don't know. I Want to Be Yours has never been my favorite, but AM is a very special album to me because I got it from a cousin for my birthday, and I just it's an album. It's probably the CD I've listened to the most, as in like it's been in my car, and I put on my sunglasses and I try to feel like I'm cool because
Yeah.
it's an album that
Yeah.
makes me feel cool.
Yeah, it's definitely, they were going hard with that, like cool sort of
Yeah,
rocker, sort of alternative
yeah,
kind of vibe.
mm-hmm.
But it's good. They
Yeah.
pulled it off,
They did pull it
It
off,
doesn't
and
seem disingenuous or
no,
half-hearted.
and I know a lot of people are like, if they know one Arctic Monkeys album, it's this one,
Yeah.
and I'm like, you know, it's a good album. No, it's it's a great one. I listened to a lot of it and I remember a lot of it. Number one party anthem is also really fun. It's really silly because it's a party anthem, but it's also the slow song on this album.
Oh, yeah, so
Yeah,
that's ironic.
very. Um, I would also recommend AM as a Would I recommend it as a starter? Maybe.
Yeah, I mean,
I mean, but like then you won't get anything else. Like you don't you would expect that from all other ones, but then you won't get the sound of AM because
yeah.
AM is a singular album.
Yeah, I mean, I guess yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess you could also argue that for when we were talking about the Strokes, like the new Abnormal, like that's
Yeah.
very different from the start. But I mean,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
I guess it just kind of depends
Mm-hmm.
what you're into, and
Yeah.
if you decide to explore, I mean, you should decide to explore the
Mhm.
other albums.
Yeah.
But, you know,
Oh man, it's Tranquility Based at Hotel Casino. I'm sorry, it's Tranquility Based Hotel and Casino Time, which is
Okay.
the 180.
Yeah, they went way more like lounge, sort of chill.
They never had this lounge inspired like sound.
Yeah.
So when people heard this, they were like, "What am I listening to?" And I think with this is that it's a very abstract or dense type of sound. So it's not an easy listen
Yeah.
because a lot of it almost feels like spoken word, and it's like the lyrics are cheeky, but they're also very much like they're very like Alex is literally in his 30s, but they almost sound like man yelling at cloud type of energy. I don't know if you catch my drift, but like yeah. But there's some good stuff on there. I don't have that much because it's not an album that I literally go back to that much.
Yeah.
Just because I don't find it that appealing to listen to. It's a good concept, right? But it's not that fun to listen to.
Yeah, and I guess it isn't as catchy. It's more of like an experience type of thing.
But I think that everyone should slow dance to Ultra Cheese. Still got pictures of friends on the wall. I cannot sing like Alex Turner. I can't even sing at all. Why haven't I been singing?
I mean,
Yeah.
karaoke's fun.
But it's also like it's like slow dancing, like it's your last dance.
Yeah, like your swan songs.
Yeah. I think that's my second favorite AM track, even though it's literally from an album where I have not really gone back to it.
Mm.
Oh, She Looks Like Fun is the guitar on it. Do 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 do. Yeah, I really like that one too.
Mm.
I don't really have any other thoughts on Tranquility Base. I will listen to it again, probably sometime later today. But good song. Good song, good. I think overall it's a good album. It's just not everyone's cup of tea.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, and then we waited 4 years for the car, and the car is very good.
Mm.
The car kind of takes the lounge sound of a Tranquility Base and expands on it by making a more orchestral and cinematic affair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And adding kind of like soul kind of influences too with
Soul
the
influence.
vocals.
Yeah. Like it very feels melancholic and probably the most introspective out of all of their discography. I listen to The Car a lot, which is weird because I don't listen to Tranquility Base a lot.
Mm.
And I just think that the production at this point is god tier. Like it's so clean sounding. It's very amazing. I think probably my least favorite on this is the Sculpture of Anything Goes, just because I don't remember that one that much. But then um most of this soundtrack, most of this album is a knockout. And I think that it's very interesting where they've gone because I know a lot of people have fallen out of love with the Arctic Monkeys, right?
Mm.
They're just different now. But that doesn't mean that but I'm still along for the ride, right?
Yeah.
So I I still like what they do, and then the lyrics have only gotten more like sometimes I don't even know what this album is talking about, but it's a good album and I listen to it a lot. I have a connection that I can't particularly explain to it, and that's where we're off. That's where we lead off with you know, Arctic Monkeys.
The cliffhanger.
Yeah, we don't know where we're gonna go next, but I wanted to go see them this year, but tickets are so expensive.
Yeah. It's gotta be so rich.
I will just stick to listening to them on Spotify.
Valid.
So valid.
Just wait for the live album.
There is a live album, live at Royal Albert Hall.
The next live album.
The next live album. I need to listen to the. I want to listen. I want to hear the car live.
Mm.
Yeah. Do you have any thoughts on Arctic Monkeys?
Um, I mean, a lot of what I had to say, I kind of,
Yeah.
interspersed
Yeah.
it between what you have said. Like I said at the beginning, I don't really have like a lot of strong feelings towards the Arctic Monkeys right now. Like I like their music. I think they have bangers.
Mhm.
But I don't know, like I don't have as much of a personal connection with them as I do with like the Strokes or other bands. But they're good. I'm also an enjoyer of the Cars. I don't know if I'd say they're like the Cars or the Cars, sorry. I don't know if I'd say the Cars like, probably it's not my favorite album obviously by the Arctic Monkeys, but it's like it's a good comeback after these
Yeah.
couple of years, I like how they
It's up there for me.
yeah,
It is very much
yeah,
up
yeah.
there
It's
for me.
good. It's good. I like how they expanded upon. They kind of took the sound
Yeah.
from the previous
Yeah.
album, but added, kind of added it with,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
like you said, more orchestral
Yeah.
direction, and the
A lot of it is like a pitch for a James Bond
yeah,
theme song.
yeah, the more exuberant vocals and everything like
Yeah.
that. I think it's a good, really cohesive development for
Yeah.
them, natural development,
Mhm.
and I'm glad to, I'm happy to, or I'm excited
Yeah.
to see what they have going forward.
Yeah, Arctic Monkey is very, very close to me because a lot of it has underscored and just underscored and become the soundtrack of me in college, right? Like even through the hard times, I listen to them a lot, even if I don't even if their lyrics aren't pertaining to me, just their sound just provides a lot of comfort for me.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair. Um, so I guess
Yeah.
let's see, what are we gonna do next? Or I mean,
We can stop it
we
here.
could stop it here. I
Yeah.
guess so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Um, that probably wasn't as in depth of a back and forth conversation.
I think that was a pretty good conversation.
I think it was a pretty good
Yeah,
conversation.
I thought we both had very distinct insights.
Yeah.
Like we both gave our take on it. I thought that was good.
Yeah.
I thought that was good.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we hope you enjoyed listening to us ramble about two different bands for what was it? An hour and a half?
Yeah, hour 20 minutes or so.
20 minutes? Yeah.
Um, but yeah, that's this conversation. I don't know about you. I really enjoyed
I
this.
did really enjoy it
It
too.
was really fun. I didn't know, we came into this relatively off the cuff, very kind of
Yeah.
impromptu. We're just,
Yeah.
talking about music, anything could
Yeah.
happen,
Mm-hmm.
but it came out really great and yeah, like honestly, thanks for thanks for giving me your
Of
insights,
course.
you know.
Got you. I got you. Yeah. Um,
Anything you want to say or
there's not much else I want to say. I just Oh, got it. If you haven't listened to this before, you should. But you should listen to Arctic Monkeys' cover of Barbara Lewis's 1969 hit "Baby I'm Yours." It is a B-side to their like it is a B-side to one of their songs from their single um when from the single what is it called? Frick, what is it called? Oh, Leave Before the Lights Come On. Yeah, it's an EP, and then Baby I'm Yours is on that. I think everyone should listen to that.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I've heard that before. I gotta listen to it again. I kind of forgot.
That is up there as a top tier Arctic Monkeys song.
All right.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I don't have anything else to say in regards to. I'm just kind of thinking, uh, digging through my mind right now. Is there anything like any sort of sales pitch I could give for any sort of the Strokes stuff? But nah, I don't think so.
I feel like you like the Strokes more, and I like the Arctic Monkeys more.
Yeah, I'm glad. That's why, like, I'm glad that I really liked how this conversation
Yeah.
went out because it wasn't too one-sided. It
Yeah.
wasn't like, oh yeah, we both talked, we talked more about the Strokes and the Arctic Monkeys, and we are kind
Yeah.
of just favored towards one direction.
Yeah.
It was pretty split.
Do you have any impressions on sort of what am I gonna say? Don't worry about it.
Okay. Uh,
I'm sorry, I'm tired.
yeah, it's fine. It's a busy week for everybody over here in school,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, I guess all I have to say is like check out the Strokes and the Arctic Monkeys, both really cool bands with a lot of bangers.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, we hope to see you in the next episode of the Enthusiacs podcast. We don't know what we're gonna talk about
I
yet.
want to talk about video games.
You want to talk about video
I
games?
want to talk about video
I
games.
also want to talk about video games. That seems like something really cool. It's a new genre of
Yeah.
discussion,
Yeah.
and we've probably got a lot of
Yeah. We
different
have some
areas.
memories, particularly with that. Because we're not boxing ourselves into just like Arctic Monkeys and Strokes, but we are actually just like talking about video games and our history in general.
Yeah.
We said we were going to talk about our musical history in general, but like it doesn't really relate to the Strokes and the Arctic Monkeys. So yeah,
Yeah, I guess so. Or we could just do that another time. There's always time for more episodes. But yeah, um, I hope you enjoyed this episode. And for reals, this is the real outro this time. We'll see you next time.
this has been the Enthusiasts talking. I'm your co-host Matthew.
And I'm your co-host Eric.
We're signing off.
All right. See ya.